Hello and welcome back to our channel. Today it is a very crisp, very fall-like day here. You could see your breath this morning when I let the cat out. I'm in the mood for fall things, and I have some apples that need to be used up. So we are going to make some applesauce today. My grandma gave me all of her canning supplies not too long ago, and oh no, I'll take that. And she gave me her canning book. So I'm just going to use the recipe in this book. Look, it was 35 cents where they bought it. You know, so cool. So I got this from my grandma, and somebody gave it to her. Anyways, so we are going to use this recipe. I'm gonna have to tape the cover back on. It's gotten some love. I used it when we did some tomato juice and apple juice a couple years ago. Okay. So yeah, we're just gonna use this recipe right here. I can't see it. I'll include it in the bottom. And that's just what we're gonna go to. It says you need to peel. It does say that you need to press the apples through your sieve or like your strainer. I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think I'll probably just use the immersion blender. Or the last time I made applesauce, they just came together real nicely with a fork. And so I didn't need to do that. But I'm going to peel them and cut them up. Ashley's gonna help me peel them, and then while they are simmering on the stove, I don't know if I'm actually gonna get them canned today or if I will just make it and then reheat it up tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, we have quite a bit of things to do today. It's just Ashley and I. Everybody else is at school, so let's get started.
The first thing you are going to want to do is make sure that you wash all of your apples, especially if they came from the store. You're going to want to get all of the things that they put on them to make your fruit last longer, and then I always just stick them in the bowl as I wash them. This little peeler is so nifty and so fast. It just peels, and then I just cut everything off of the core. You really don't have to cut them up too finely. They get cooked down really, really well. I like to soak the pieces that I cut up in cold water. It helps keep them from turning brown before you actually bake them. It's very helpful. I know you can put a lot of other things in it, but for us, cold water just seems to be what works the best.
Yeah. I'm helping my mommy. Here we go. I'm starting. You need to draw it away to the tippy top.
There.
Two more left to go.
Okay, so they are all peeled and all cut up, and in the cast iron skillet, I have it on low heat, and we'll just let it simmer with the lid on for several hours today, checking it, and then we will come back when it is ready to add our sugar and our spices.
Depending on how many apples you have, this is my favorite way to cook apples. I love to do it in the enameled cast iron Dutch oven. The lid seals really nicely so you don't lose a lot of that steam. And I just recently got my stove fixed, so I did end up, they replaced some burners, so now it cooks a little differently. I ended up cooking this over a medium heat and checking it about every 20 minutes for about 2 hours because I didn't want it sticking to the bottom. I have had that happen in the past, and it is definitely not so much fun. As these cook, they will start to come together to where you can just kind of break them apart with your spoon, and you can just see that they are the texture of what you would like your applesauce to look like. And then this would be the point. It's been about 2 hours, and they're just coming together with my wooden spoon. They're falling apart. So this would be the time that you could also add your sugar if you would like. The recipe that I am using called for 1/4 of a cup of sugar per cup of applesauce. I ended up just kind of tasting it. I taste it as I go, and I didn't need any. In my experience, it depends on what kind of apples you are using. So I did use the immersion blender to make mine this time. I don't think I'll be doing that again. It was really messy and super hot, and it did work. So I wouldn't say that I'll never do it again, but it was a little hot.
Okay, so our apples are finished. I ended up not actually adding any sugar. I thought that it would need sugar for the kids. It depends on the apples. The last time I made applesauce, I used Macintosh apples, and those did need a little bit of sugar, but I added quite a bit of cinnamon to this. I just eyeballed it and tasted a little bit and then added more because I thought it needed a little bit more, but I actually don't think that it needs any sugar. So I have the fire turned off and I used the immersion blender, which that was a terrible idea. It splashed everywhere. I don't really recommend that. And I don't think I'll be doing that again next time. We'll just have chunky applesauce. I don't really care. So now I'm going to go get my jars and get my water boiling to scald them, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I got all my jars. I have 6 pint jars over there. My grandma says that you should have more than you need. I think I have 7, just in case. We're gonna boil them to sanitize them, and while the water's heating up, I'm going to go. I have enough lids and rings for the wide mouth jars, but I gotta take out some. I think I have some regular mouth jar lids and rings in there. You always want fresh new lids. You can reuse the rings, but when you're canning, you want brand new lids for the seals. So I am getting the water going for that, and then I cannot find my funnel or my little tongs that you pull the, yeah, it's been a while since I canned, and this was kind of on a whim, so we will make it work. I have a silicone thing somewhere. We'll make it work. We'll figure it out. So that's what we're doing.
So in this stock pot, you want to bring to a boil just enough water to cover your jars. I lay them on the side. It's a little easier. Now they do have proper tools for this. That does make it easier. I do have them. I just couldn't find them. I definitely don't recommend all metal tongs. That was an absolute disaster waiting to happen, but this really large silicone hot pad that I have, I only have 1. 2 would have made it a breeze, but 1 did make it work. And so we made it work, but you can buy things to make this much cheaper, or not cheaper, easier, because this was a disaster. Anyways, you do need to sterilize everything, even though your jars are clean, just to make sure that no funky bacteria gets in there. I always like to have a little saucepan going to keep the lids warm in the warm water. My grandma says you need new lids every single time you can. You can reuse the rings, just not the lids. So now we're going to fill up our jars. You do want to make sure that your applesauce is fairly warm while you are doing this. That way it doesn't crack the jars or anything, because the jars are going to be hot. If you put cold applesauce in it, it would make your jars crack. Something I forgot to do before I put the lid and ring on, you need to take a silicone scrubber, or some people call them a silicone scraper or a spatula, and you need to run it around the ring of this to get out all the bubbles. I forgot to do that, and I ended up having to take my lids and rings back off and getting new lids going because I completely forgot that. But that is a very important part, so you don't get any bubbles in your applesauce before it is canned. Then you just need to, I dab a clean rag in the hot water that I have my lids in and wipe the rim so that there's no applesauce or anything on the rim to prevent it from sealing properly. Then you want to place your lids on the jars and then place your rings on the jars and tighten them as tightly as you can get them.
I get 2.5 pints. So Ashley and I will just go eat the other one. I'm gonna sit these over there, and I'm gonna fill up my water bath canner with some hot water and wait on it to come to a boil.
So inside the water bath canner, there is a rack. That's where you put your jars. It keeps them from clanking together during the boiling process. You want to fill it up to just the rim There's a glass rim. You do not want to fill the water up over the rings or even touching the rings. That way no water gets in when you are boiling. You want to have it on high heat until it boils. Cover it. Once it is boiling, turn it down to a medium heat. For applesauce, you want them to boil for 20 minutes. So once it is boiling and I turn the heat down, I set a timer for 20 minutes. Then once they are done, you are going to carefully take them out and sit them on a towel or a drying rack and wait. I like to wait overnight to check the seals.
That's it. I did forget to mention that you will want to label your jars with, I always write what's in them. Otherwise, you think you'll remember, but I don't. And the date that it was processed. These will be good stored in a cool, dry place for 2 to 5-ish years. I find both to be an acceptable answer. Usually they don't last us that long here because they're consumed. But that seems to be our finding. So thank you very much for watching. As always, please like and subscribe for more content like this. And happy canning. Have a great day. Bye.